Hello everyone, welcome, and well, today I'm going to be giving you guys 10 tips that will hopefully help you on your adventures in RimWorld. Randy may not like the things I'm about to be telling you, okay, but hopefully you do. Alright, real quick before the video starts, I want to take you all to hell. We have a loving community, everyone is incredibly welcoming, and we have a great mod base. Yeah, what are you waiting for? Come on, join up, enjoy the warm heat of the fires, and remember, welcome to hell, kiddos. Alright, so I guess without further ado, here are 10 useful tips for RimWorld. So, tip number 1 is work fast. The key to a good beginning in RimWorld is getting a homestead up and running as quickly as possible. This will ensure not only the safety of your colonists, but their moods will overall be much higher. Avoiding mental breakdowns is a huge hurdle early on, and it can be easily avoided just by being fast. Another thing you're going to want to hurry up and get up and running are your farms. You're going to want to make sure you're growing rice right away because it's the fastest growing crop in the game. Also, make sure you place your rice fields on the rich soil, which usually appears darker than the normal soil. Doing this will increase the speed at which the rice grows, and it will affect your colonists' moods just because they have food, and therefore your survivability in RimWorld will be much higher. So, tip number 2, you can use furniture as bait into a trap. This might sound ridiculous, but you know what? Hear me out. Raiders in RimWorld have one primary goal: destroy. Raiders love furniture, and if they come into contact with any, they will destroy it. So, with that in mind, why not abuse it? Put furniture within range of your turrets or places where your colonists can fire upon the enemy. You could also even landmine the crap out of that area and hopefully take care of the raiders without even have to step foot out there. This is crazy. You should definitely try it. Give it a shot. It is a good, very good method to destroying the raiders without having to really touch them very much. On to tip number 3. Be mindful of where you choose to land. The location of your colony is going to ultimately shape the type of colony you want to create. So, if you're a beginner in RimWorld, okay, you're probably going to want to land in a temperate forest, okay? This is the easiest place to land because the temperature isn't extreme and there's plenty of vegetation such as trees, bushes, berries, etc. If you're a more experienced player, however, then you're probably going to want to mix things up a bit, am I right? So, you're going to want to land in probably a desert or a tundra or an ice sheet biome, something along those lines. Okay, these places have a bit more extreme climate to them, so you might want to watch out, but doing this will definitely make the game much more interesting for yourself and much more difficult. It's kind of like a difficulty setting, if there already are difficulty settings in this game, but the climate in itself is basically a difficulty setting in RimWorld. So anyway, give it a shot. On to tip number 4. So, be mindful of the weapons your colonists use. Certain weapons are better for different purposes. For example, sharp weapons are much better for slashing enemies, taking off limbs, and making them bleed. Sharp weapons include things you would expect, like knives, swords, axes, etc., but they also include guns, because bullets are considered as sharp weapons. Blunt weapons are better for inflicting lots of pain, but no bleeding. In short, use a sharp weapon to kill and use a blunt weapon to capture a prisoner. Beware, if the enemy has armor on, avoid using a sharp object because armor will likely cause your knife or sword to just simply bounce off. Instead, use a blunt weapon. Very few things in RimWorld have resistance to blunt damage.
Tip number 5.
Try to always fire straight at a target. There is a good reason to do so too. The cover system in RimWorld takes into account the objects between the two fighting pawns. Objects like rock chunks, sandbags, or even walls are all accounted for if they're in the line of fire. If your enemy is behind some trees too, they even count for that as well. Now, if your enemy is behind cover, try to get a straight line of shot at him. Also, with this all in mind, try to put 2 or 3 layers worth of sandbags for cover for your colonists. This will hopefully make it much more difficult for your enemy to shoot your colonists, and on top of that, fun little fact, your colonist receives no penalty for shooting over those layered sandbags. Cool beans! On to tip number 6, use your heavily armored colonists to block the enemy. If you happen to have some really good armored colonists, use them. Combine really heavy armor and a melee weapon in a tight space together, and you're almost guaranteed to kill the enemy. If you can, lure the enemy into a tight area and force them to have to go through your heavily armored colonists. This colonist should be able to tank most of the damage, no problem. If not, then at least I guess they tried. If you have a 1 block wide entrance to your colony, just stick them around there with a melee weapon. This should be able to distract the enemy long enough for your tank colonists not only deal a good amount of damage to them, but your other colonists with guns should be able to gun them down as well. Tip number 7, on the topic of armor, give your melee colonists a shield belt and good armor. A melee colonist is going to be charging through gunfire to slash the enemy, so a shield belt is extremely important because it stops bullets from hitting them. Beware though, the shield does not stop melee attacks. That's when your colonist's armor comes into play. The armor on your colonists should be able to keep them safe while they destroy the enemy, and the shield belt should stop those pesky bullets from puncturing them and killing them. Tip number 8. Build around your stockpile. This tip is a bit basic, however, for a beginner this is likely brand new news. So, items sitting around outside will slowly deteriorate because they are not inside. So what you need to do is build around them, roof the area, and BAM! They're no longer deteriorating. There are some resources that aren't affected by this, however. Things like steel, stone chunks, those are prime examples of items that are not affected by being outside, but roofing your stockpiles is extremely important. So tip number 9 is a special one. It's kind of a quick throwback to the first tip of this video about working fast. Make sure early on you get a sustainable amount of food. This is very important because I can't even tell you how many times my colonies have died from me struggling to make food in time. Like on stream, I've died so many times because I keep screwing up that process. So grow rice early on. It's so important that you do this. Harvest all the berries, kill a decent amount of animals, specifically rabbits and turkeys because they will not fight back, and always keep an eye on your food stocks as well. It's easy to overlook this, trust me, a starving colony is bound to fail. It appears we are at the end of our road. We have arrived at tip number 10, which is keep an eye out for colonist disabilities. Early on, if every colonist is incapable of doctoring, your colony is going to fail. Don't make that mistake. If you have only one colonist capable of doctoring, you're bound for failure if that colonist dies. Early on, avoid having any disabilities in your colony. If you're recruiting prisoners, be mindful of who you recruit. Disabilities could make or break your colony. A common error among new players is just recruiting every prisoner they can find, while having more colonists is usually better. If that colonist isn't capable of doing most things, then they're practically useless and they're just another mouth to feed. So those are my 10 tips to help you guys out in RimWorld. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I put a lot of work into this. I would like to give thanks to Corsola and Augustus on my Discord server, which, by the way, if you haven't joined my Discord server, the link is in the description. Click that, join it. It's a good time. But thank you to them for helping me out because they were the ones that gathered around these tips and everything, and I just compiled it all together and put it into my own words. So thank you guys so much for what you guys did. It means so much to me, and I love you all, and I hope you guys have fun in RimWorld.
Hey Tom, did you hear? Vesbill Dill is making a guide on how to survive in RimWorld.
Alright, Diane. I've had it with your shit, alright? RimWorld is fucking shit. Dylan, whatever the fuck his twat name is shit. Dwarf Fortress is and will always be better than this.
What? You take that back, you're gonna sleep on the couch.
Alright, you know what? No, you're sleeping your ass on the couch, alright? And if not, we're getting a divorce and you're living with your fucking uncle again, okay?
One day, I sat back and thought to myself, you know, there's a lot of things in RimWorld that people should just not do. There are so many things that can go horribly wrong from simple mistakes, it's insane. So, this video came to mind, and here we are. Here are 10 things not to do in RimWorld. To start off, we're going to be talking about ancient ruins and why they're super safe to open. Just go up to one of the ruins right when you start the game and deconstruct a wall. You will be welcomed with wealth beyond measure. Wait a minute. I was told there was wealth beyond measure. Oh, no. God dang it! Ancient ruins are valuable assets to each map. However, try to stay away from them early on in the game because they are quite dangerous and will more than likely kill your entire colony if the ruin contains any type of enemies, whether it be robots or trapped colonists. But anyway, just don't open them, okay? Do not try to open them early in the game. Okay, so batteries are very useful, especially for storing power. Lots of power. Take a look at my battery area, for example. Isn't it cool? We can power our colony for ages with this. Our coolers will practically run forever. Our lights will never go out and our defenses will always be up. This is fantastic. There's so much power! Ah! No! Batteries may be very useful, however, there are two very important things you cannot do with them. First off, do not leave them unroofed. The reason for this is because they will short circuit all the time and explode, and trust me, you do not want that. Second, do not make a storage area for your batteries because if one blows, there's a good chance a massive explosion will go off. Of course, if you like explosions and don't care about your colony, then this is for you, but otherwise, generally you don't want to do that.
Tom, where are you?
Hey, Diane. Fuck. I'm just outside the battery storage. Why you ask?
That's Bill Dill just said that battery storage areas are extremely dangerous and we should probably do something about it. Tom? Tom?
My leg! If you need food in RimWorld, the best form of food is hunting animals, especially the big ones because they carry a ton of meat and can feed a colony for weeks. In fact, go after elephants because they yield a buttload of food. Wait, what? They're mad. What? No, run! Johnny, run! No! So recently in my current RimWorld series, I decided hunting a donkey would be a good idea. Heck, even before that I had a huge problem with angry elephants, and they Thanos snapped my ass, basically. I lost my entire colony to a pack of elephants. It was awful. My point is, do not hunt animals such as elephants that are large and hard to take down unless you're prepared for a major backlash from their maddened brothers. Trust me, just be smart about which animals you're hunting and you will be safe and okay. Oh, look at these idiots. Okay. All of you, go and kill these idiots. You two men right here, stay on the mortars and let's try to make this as quick as possible. What? No! Stop firing! Oh, how do I stop? No! Mortars are a very useful way of defending your base from invaders. However, be aware of friendly fire with them as they cause a ton of damage to any pawns in the explosion radius. Don't use mortars if you're using melee to kill the opponent because then you're putting your pawns at risk of being blown up and that's no good.
Oh, look, a Boomalope. Hey, Tom, look over there, look.
Oh, yeah, it is a Boomalope. Good job, Diane. You actually fucking noticed something for once that is still not of value to me at all, alright? Yes, it's a Boomalope.
God, Tom, you don't have to be a dick, jeez. Anyway, do you see those bubbles on them? Because they kind of look squishy.
Well, I guess it's someone's time of the month, but fine. Yeah, here, let me see, okay? Give it to me. Son of a bitch, you fucking birds, Diane, you fucking cat!
Boomalopes are very magical creatures in my opinion and can be very useful. However, they are very dangerous and probably shouldn't be messed with unless you're absolutely sure it's safe to. Do not mess with Boomalopes inside your base as well because you're asking for your base to basically turn into ash. Just saying, be careful. I have a great idea! I'm going to tame a bunch of raccoons. Okay, I want more animals. Let's tame some elephants as well. Oh, and some deer! I love animals. I'm definitely more than happy to keep them sheltered and take care of them. Wait, where did all my food go? Taming animals is very useful if done right and for the right reasons. If you go too wild with taming animals, your food is going to deplete so fast and you're going to be stuck with no food and starving colonists. Do not give your animals access to the food storage areas. Anywhere you're storing food, make sure the animals can't access it. This is going to save you a lot of headaches and definitely save you from starving your colonists. Oh, look, some visitors. To be honest, I'm kind of bored. You know, maybe killing these visitors would be kind of fun. Maybe I could capture them and recruit them into my colony. Who knows? Screw it, I'm attacking them. Well, that was fun. Wait, what? No, what did I do to deserve this? What? No. Visitors in RimWorld may be few in number and barely do anything. However, that doesn't mean you should just kill them or harm them in any way. There are consequences to your actions in RimWorld, and attacking another faction will most definitely bite you in the ass in the long run. Do not attack visitors under any circumstances unless you're simply asking for retaliation. Why build wooden doors when they break easily and are susceptible to fire? Screw it, I'm going to build stone doors everywhere. That way everyone is safe. Why aren't things getting done in my base? Why is my cook taking forever to cook things? What the heck? This is so dumb. I have a good setup. Stone doors are very useful for defensive purposes. However, they are not suited to be interior doors. Wooden doors are the fastest door you can get, and that makes them extremely useful for interiors. Do not build stone doors everywhere because it will slow down work speeds to a near grinding halt. Remember, colonists can only work for an amount of time in the day before they need to rest, and stone doors will take up a huge chunk of that time if they have to stand around waiting for the door to open all the time. This next one I'm just going to be upfront with right away. Do not, under any circumstances, have dead bodies lying around your colony. The debuff for seeing a dead corpse all the time will cause so many issues with mental instability with your colonists, and this can easily be avoided just by either cremating the corpses or keeping the corpses in a stockpile far away from your colony and burying them over time. Trust me, just don't have dead bodies around your colony because it causes a lot of issues.
Diane, do me a favor quick, sweetie. Fetch me my binoculars.
What do you need your binoculars for, Tom?
Don't question it, sweetie. I think we see raiders on the horizon.
Okay, sweetie. All right, here, take your binoculars.
All right, thank you. All right. See, yes, okay. Tree, piggy. Okay, yep. Oh, what is this little shit? Honey, they're here.
Oh my god! Okay, I'm gonna get the gun, honey.
Yes, Diane, rally the guards, the militia. The raiders are coming! The raiders are coming! The raiders are coming!
Finally, do not, under any circumstances, believe you are going to win the game like a piece of cake. RimWorld is not an easy game, and there are so many things that can go wrong that you as a player cannot control. Play RimWorld with the thought of creating a unique story rather than beating the game. Then and only then will you be satisfied with losing. Are you sick of dying from raids? Are sieges getting between you and your success as a colony? Did an army of robots show up at your doorstep ready to destroy you? Well, look no further, for you have found the guide that will keep you and your colony alive. Yes, I did just suggest RimWorld could kill you. In this video, I will be talking about basic defenses early on in the game and some advanced concepts to follow late game in RimWorld that will hopefully keep your colony alive and will long enough to, finally escape the RimWorld that your colony has crash landed onto. Anyway, let's get started. One of the best things you can do early for defenses is build a few sandbags near your base in a nice strategic location. If for some reason you don't have steel for the sandbags, then create some dumping stockpiles and restrict them to only use stone chunks. These stones can be used as very basic cover, and this will allow your colonists to have an edge in early raids. The next basic kind of defense for early on, and well, the rest of the game really, is what I'm going to call the box method. This represents building a box of sandbags around one colonist and replacing one of the sandbags with a wall. An optional addition is to also build a chair in the middle of the square for the colonist to sit in. This will yield a comfort boost. Anyway, back on topic. This box method is one of the most effective defenses for a single colonist to have. It yields about 80% cover. Obviously, if the wall is on the side of the raider, the cover bonus is higher, so make sure the wall is on the side of the raider, that way the cover is maximized. So that was a few things you can do early on to ensure safety from raiders, but this alone will not stop raids and siegers later on in the game. So eventually you're going to want to make several things. One of the most important is a large outer wall with 1 or 2 openings in it. This is going to be used as a funnel for the raiders to walk through, and it condenses them. This alone is useful for several reasons. One of them is colonists shooting at raiders that are bunched up are way more likely to successfully shoot a raider than when they're spread out. This is mostly due to the reason that if a colonist misses a shot, then it's more likely for them to strike the person behind them. Another good reason to force raiders to bunch up is mortars. Bunched up raiders leads to easy targets for your mortars, and I can definitely tell you that the raiders will get wrecked if a mortar happens to catch them. The same is true for mechanoids as well. Mortars are honestly some of the best things you can have for defenses, especially against sieges, which I'm going to cover that later on. Anyway, after your wall is built, build a kill box inside each opening in your wall. Fill it with traps, a lot of traps. Then at the end of the kill box, build a personal kill box. That's what I'm going to call it. It's a personal kill box. This is basically a box with a lot of defenses and turrets to slaughter any enemies who survive your kill box. It's also going to contain your colonists as well. The kill box and the personal kill box should look something kind of like this. Make sure to have doors behind your colonists' cover. That way they can easily retreat if need be. This also leads into the next step, which is multi-layered defenses. So a good defense plan is to have a multi-layered defense system. This means having an outer wall, a kill box, a personal kill box, an inner wall, and a last stand location. This is what it's going to ultimately take to keep your colony alive in most situations, and this is also a counter to airborne raiders who can land anywhere in your base as long as there's no roof. Anyway, back on topic. This multi-layered defense system will take some time to make, and it's not expected that you build it all at once. This is an end goal basically. It's mostly to prepare for the final raids before you take off in your ship and win the game. Let me show you what it looks like to have this whole defense system function and also have things go wrong. So you're going to want to have some sandbags outside the outer wall with your mortar people set up on the inside of the base. Put your colonists into the sandbag covered area. Wait for the raiders to come to you. While they make their way to you, your mortar should hopefully wound them at least a little bit. They will engage your forces at the outer wall. Most raids, you should win right then and there, but if you start to lose, like if you have a colonist go down or get killed, then retreat into your kill box. Make sure your turrets are up and ready to go. Also make sure your mortar crew is not on their mortars anymore and you move them up as well, because there's no point in them shooting their mortars anymore, as it's probably going to destroy your own base. If the raiders somehow get through your trap-infested kill box, then they will meet your forces in the personal kill box. This should be the ultimate end of any invading force from the outer wall. Now, a huge issue arises if you're invaded from the air. The mortars are basically useless if you're invaded by drop pods, and your outer wall will also be rendered useless, which also means your kill boxes are going to be useless. So, what do you do? When this happens, make your colonists retreat and regroup inside the inner wall. Do some reconnaissance around your base to find the locations of all the raiders. Once you figure that out, find the safest way to get outside your inner wall and into the battlefield. Avoid opening a door near an enemy at all costs, because your colonist is going to get lit the fuck up. That's no good, you don't want that. So send your people through the safest route and make a line of defense on the outside of the inner wall. There's a chance that the raiders will ignore your line of defense and just try breaking a wall to get inside your base. If this happens, retreat to the inside of your base and position your people near the wall that the raider is trying to break. The moment he breaks it, your colonists will let him the fuck up. Okay? Airborne raids are very tricky to deal with, but if it's done right, you can suppress them quickly and safely. The last major issue to deal with is a siege. Sieges are basically a large band of people from a faction that come and try to eradicate your colony. They tend to come into the map and build a mini base of defense, then they attack you. If they brought mortars, then they will definitely mortar the fuck out of your base, so watch out for that. If they do that, keep your colonists spread out, but not too far apart, because the reason for this is if a colonist gets domed by a shell or something, then you can help them out quickly and they'll be fine. Another good reason is because once the siege starts, the mortar crews tend to leave their stations, which also, actually that reminds me, you should definitely be mortaring the fuck out of the enemies while they build the defenses. But anyway, no, our mortar crew will definitely leave their stations and join the frontal assault at your base. The enemy is going to come at your base with all of its power, so the safest way to dispose of them is retreating into your personal kill box immediately. Do your best to slaughter them then and there. If you are overrun, then retreat to the inner wall. If they somehow overrun you there as well, then retreat to your last resort area. If you don't have one, then just find a nice hallway, set up a quick defensive line in it, and at this point just, hope for the best. It appears that I hit 1,000 subscribers. Oh my fucking god, guys. Honestly, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really cannot believe that this happened. Seriously, it's incredible. You know what? No, this isn't a me thing. You guys did this. You guys are the ones who make up that number, not me. We did it, guys. We hit the big 1,000. To celebrate, I made this tips video by request of the community. Let's jump right into it. Here are 10 tips for basic mood management in RimWorld 1.0. This first tip is for early on in the game. Like literally the moment the colonists spawn into the map. You're going to want to build their bedrooms as quickly as you can. Make sure you have someone doing the initial farming as well, because you don't want to get behind on food, but also make sure to focus on getting their bedrooms built. Having these nice bedrooms built early on will ensure a good mood for your core colonists. If you can't get their entire room built right away, that's fine, just make sure the bed is at least built, because colonists hate sleeping on the ground. You know, come to think about it. To be honest, I would too, because, you know, fuck sleeping on the ground. That sucks. The second tip on this list is directly related to the first tip. Try to make the beginning bedrooms at least of dull quality. This will ensure that there aren't any mood debuffs from a bad room. To be clear though, I am ignoring the cramped debuff, and I will get to that later in this video. Anyway, a good room for each colonist helps so much with moods, it's crazy. If you ever are having issues with moods, first check if their recreation is being fulfilled, and then check to see if their rooms are at least dull quality or better. At least that's my go-to checklist. Tip number 3 is also directly related to the past 2 tips. But you know, I kind of said fuck it. So anyway, these past 2 tips have just been like right off the bat improvements. And this tip has to do with the whole cramped mood debuff. Okay, so it's better to get this done as early as possible. Okay, so the way to get rid of the cramped debuff is you're going to want to eventually expand each of your colonist rooms to at least an 8x8 size, because doing so will get rid of the cramped debuff, obviously, and it will allow for much better overall room impressiveness. Of course, this also depends on what you need to put into the room. Like, for example, if the room is empty except for a bed, then the room won't have as many benefits as, say, a room with a table, a chair, a bed, and a plant pot. Tip number 4 is a simple one. Build a chair in front of each production table. Doing this results in 2 things, very important things. 1, a sustained comfort boost throughout the day, and 2, faster workflow. Actually, come to think of it, just chairs alone are a good tip. What the fuck am I thinking? A weird way to make a room more impressive is literally just filling it with dining chairs. I'm not joking, I'm serious. Look at this. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, scratch note tip number 4. Make this tip number 4 2.0. Build chairs everywhere. I'm joking. If you really want to partially cheat the system, though, you can fill the colonist bedrooms with dining chairs and it makes them happy. I don't know why, but it works. Oh boy. Okay, so I have a huge problem with forgetting recreational items, especially early on in the game. No matter how many times I tell myself to make a simple horseshoe pin in the beginning of the game, I always forget. So tip number 5 may sound stupid. Okay, you know what? It is stupid, but I'm saying it anyway. Make a goddamn horseshoe pin right away when you first start your colony. Believe me, it helps so much. On to the topic of statues. There are 3 types of statues in RimWorld: small, large, and grand. Small statues offer a decent boost to impressiveness in a room, and a large statue offers an even bigger bonus to impressiveness. But the thing is, between the small and the large statues is they're the exact same size, but they have different names for their size. So I don't know why that's a thing. Alright, because I literally have no idea why it's a thing. But anyway, the grand statue is much larger than the small and large statues and offers an even bigger bonus to impressiveness. So tip number 6 is build large statues in every colonist rooms. The reason for this is because it doesn't take up a lot of room, and it offers a big boost to impressiveness. To carry on the topic of statues, tip number 7 is be sure to build statues and plant pots in places that your colonists frequently visit. This will keep their mood boosted throughout the workday. Think about it. What if you walked by the Mona Lisa every day? What if you had an amazing sculpture of your favorite pet in the hallway outside your room? I guess I can't really speak for you, but for me, I guess I'd be very happy. I think it'd be pretty fucking dope. Tip number 8 is a big one. Every colony needs a dining room. So when you're making the dining room, make sure it's very impressive. Make a bunch of chairs, make a bunch of tables, make a bunch of statues. Hell, make a bunch of grand sculptures. Because why not? I mean, it's a giant room. You might as well fit a grand sculpture or 2 into it. Every colonist gets a decent-sized mood boost over an impressive dining room anyway. And I'm telling you right now, to make sure your colony eventually gets a dining room, especially before late game, do it as early as possible within reason. So, do you remember tip number 5? Always build a horseshoe pin when your colony starts? Well, this is kind of along that topic. Tip number 9 is quite important, actually. Mid to late game, you're going to want to build a rec room. Alright, a rec room is basically just a large room full of recreation things like chess tables, pool tables, poker tables, horseshoe pins too, I guess, etc. All you really need is a rec room with a few statues, a chess table, and a pool table. If you want more than that, go right ahead. Also keep in mind that a rec room and a dining room do not have to be separate from each other. You can actually combine the two to create a duplex, I guess. Is that the right word? Duplex? I don't know. I don't know what you would call it. A dining rec room? Something like that? I don't know. The dining and rec room, though, they'd be in the same room together, but the colonists would get the same mood bus as if they were, like, separate from each other. Plus, it saves space. Tip number 10. We fucking made it, guys. We did it. Well, I guess you did because you're the wonderful person watching my video, and I love you. Thank you. Anyway, tip number 10 is produce some fine meals. Fine meals offer a mood boost.
Fine meals offer a mood boost.
Boof. Yeah, I just said boof, guys. God damn. I need to learn how to speak English. Anyway, the mood buff is decently sized and definitely worth the effort to make. And to be honest, you don't even need a lot of them, just a few. Even if you make enough fine meals for every colonist to eat, that's still at least one less colonist mental state that you don't have to worry about if there's like a bunch of issues with, like, I don't know, fucking mental breakdowns. Like, you won't have to worry about that person for pretty much for sure, because they're going to have a higher mood than the rest of them. So anyway, that was my 10 tips for the basic mood management in RimWorld. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please go check out my other tips videos. I recommend my defense guide as it will help you survive in the long run. Anyway, leave a like and hit that fucking subscribe button. You know you love me. RimWorld is nearing release and I am super excited, and with all the new changes to the game for the 1.0 release, I figured I should make another tips video because, you know, I haven't made it enough already, right? Anyway, here are 10 tips for RimWorld 1.0. Tip number 1 is one that got me off guard on stream recently. Horseshoe pins and hoop stone pins slowly train colonist shooting abilities. This is good because sometimes there isn't too much in the way of target practice for colonists, so why not throw a rock or a horseshoe at a pin for a while and gain some skill? Like, this has many uses and it's a neat little tip for new players. Tip number 2 is useful for corpses and getting rid of bodies when there are no places to bury or cremate them. Build a room made of stone, haul the bodies into there, then torch the bodies with Molotovs. It's a quick and easy cremation process. This is a great way for new players to deal with tons of bodies at once without having much technology, and it also stops you from having to make a massive graveyard. Tip number 3 is yet another way to deal with dead bodies. Make your animals eat them. The easiest way to do this is to restrict your animals to outside your base and also away from your crops. Then put the bodies in a stockpile and your animals will eat the corpses. They will also stop eating your food in your fridge. That's always good. Tip number 4 is one I didn't know up until recently. Someone on my stream told me this, which if you're interested in watching me stream, then please subscribe and keep an eye out for my streams. I usually stream around 10 p.m. Central Time. Come check it out. It's quite the party. Anyway, tip number 4 is cleanliness. Boosts research speed. On top of that, so does light. Make sure your researcher has a clean room and good lighting and he will research much, much faster. Now, tip number 5 is a bit of a dark tip to give, but it's extremely useful. Instead of slaughtering your animals, just euthanize them. Doing this trains your doctors, and having extremely good doctors stops so many problems from happening in the future. Tip number 6 is one that is useful for easy money. If you ever have animals, let them breed, but sell the babies. This is extremely easy money, and plus, it saves you trouble. What if your pets and colonists become attached and then they all die? You know what happens? Mental breakdown mayhem. Good luck surviving that. I have to do that all the time on stream. It sucks. Tip number 7 is an amazing tip. It's such a good way to train doctors because it yields lots of XP and it doesn't cause any mood debuffs. Take unwanted prisoners and install peg legs on them. Doing this doesn't affect your colony in any negative way, and it boosts your doctoring skills, which are very important. You can then just release the prisoner and the faction they are a part of gets a mood boost towards you. I do this all the time, though I do worse things to them. Tip number 8 is a pretty screwed up thing to do to a prisoner, but it yields one of the hardest to get drugs in the game, which is luciferium. Now, I have not been able to test this or find anything on this, but apparently if you get your prisoners addicted to luciferium and you release them, they have a good chance of coming back to your colony with more luciferium. Again, this tip might be wrong, so feel free to say in the comments, but however, if it's true, then that is both hilarious and very helpful. Tip number 9 is a subtle but useful tip. It could save your colonists' lives. Stone chunks act as makeshift sandbags. They do not offer as much cover as sandbags, however, they offer enough to make it worthwhile. In fact, there is roughly only 10 point of difference between the sandbag cover and the stone chunk cover. This is extremely useful for defending your colony from raiders, but also attacking other colonies, because they are likely to have stone chunks lying around on the map for you to utilize. Finally, tip number 10. This one is related to tip number 9, and it's another subtle one. Make sure to surround the sides of of your colonists when making sandbag cover. This offers cover bonuses for your colonists. It also is recommended that you make a zigzag pattern with your sandbags so that you can cram your colonists together and they can all get the cover bonuses and they can also fire effectively. Thank you for watching this tips video. I hope you enjoyed. Please go check out my other tips videos as well as my RimWorld series. Anyway, leave a like and subscribe to see more tips and probably some more RimWorld. Surviving in RimWorld is difficult as a new player. Heck, even the most experienced players sometimes have trouble. That's the beauty of the game though. That's why so many people love it. Every colony, every experience someone has within this game creates a story. Those stories are then shared on the internet and shared with friends and most importantly, remembered by you. In this video, I'm going to discuss the basic process of surviving in a temperate forest biome. I'm going to go over everything from the optimal temperate forest location on the globe, all the way to building a basic defendable base. Without further ado, let's get started. The best temperate forest location in RimWorld 1.0 will have an average temperature of roughly 50 to 70 degrees. You want to make sure your location also has some hills, mainly because the hills provide ore, stone chunks, and most importantly, protection. There is a newer feature in RimWorld 1.0, and it's the water mill, and it's very useful, so another recommendation I can give is choose a location along a river. This will provide your colony with easy to get electric power, and plus, the river can be used for more defensive purposes like slowing down the enemy as they slowly wade their way through the water trying to get to your base. Finally, the most important tip for a location in my opinion is make sure the location you choose has year-round growing. This will ensure that your colony can grow food year-round obviously, and not have to stock up food for the winter. It's just less to worry about, and especially it makes it easier for a beginning player. Every starting colonist needs to specialize in something. The most important skills to have when starting a colony are growing, medicine, cooking, intellectual, and shooting. It's also very important to ensure that none of your colonists possess the incapable of violence and dumb labor stat. If you have a colonist with these, please randomize them again, because they will only make things more difficult for you to survive. Before I get into the specifics, also note that if a colonist is a pyromaniac, please randomize them as well. A pyromaniac will go on burning sprees whenever they have a mental break, and this is very likely to result in massive fires that destroy entire colonies. Make sure each starting colonist specializes in something. You're going to want a colonist that is highly skilled in shooting, or at least have good passion for it. You need to have a colonist who is a very good cook, and if you can find one with lower skill but a lot of passion for it, then that's okay. Every colony needs a doctor, so make sure a colonist has some passion in doctoring as well. One of the most important skills above all others is growing, or in RimWorld 1.0, plants. Make sure your colony has a very good farmer with passion. You need a level of at least 8. This is because healroot requires a farmer with a skill of at least 8 or higher to plant, if you didn't know that. Healroot is also like the most basic medicine for most colonies, and it will save your colonists' lives many, many, many times over. So, the moment your colonists land on the map, pause the game. This is pretty much standard to do when starting a new game because it allows you to safely check the map and decide on a base location, and also check out ore locations, any ancient dangers in the area, and any caves with insectoids and, etc. Just pause the game, okay? Please pause the game. Okay, now, what you're going to want to do is a lot of setting up. I'm going to list off a bunch of things that need to be done, and it really doesn't matter the order you do them as long as you get them done and queued. Probably after the first few tips, you can unpause the game. You're going to want to chop down some trees for wood and build a temporary stockpile near a rundown building. You're going to want to fix up the rundown building so you can move into it for a temporary base. This will keep your colonists safe for a bit. Be sure to designate at least an 8x8 rice growing zone, preferably in fertile soil, and designate a 4x4 healroot growing zone for early medicine as well. Use the wildlife tab to quickly mark some smaller creatures like squirrels and hares for hunting. When you do this, be sure to build a butchering table and assign the butchering creature build as do forever on the butcher table. This will force any animal corpse that is unforbidden to get butchered for meat. Be sure to build a campfire either inside your rundown base or just outside of it, and assign the cook simple meal build to it. Do 15 meals. There should be about 5 meals per person. Okay, build either beds or bed spots for your colonists to sleep in. Designate a dumping stockpile a decent distance away from your base. The dumping stockpile will hold your stone chunks and corpses in the beginning. You want this far away from your base so your colonists don't get a mood debuff from seeing corpses. Finally, something I also forget to do all the time, be sure to build a few horseshoe pins for some early recreation. If you don't, your colonists will get very upset very quickly and it's just rough. Don't forget it.
Stop on your right foot, don't forget it!
Now that you have all the beginning stuff set up and you've let the game run a bit to get there, you can finally start building a base. You're going to want to either start mining into a well-fortified hill location, or start building a base around your temporary base. Be sure to build small starting rooms for your colonists. I recommend 3x3 sized rooms. Build a wall around your base to keep people safe, but leave one end with a gap. This is simply to funnel enemies through, and later on you can create a kill hole. If you can, build a room that is 6x6. This will serve as your starting stockpile. Create a decently sized production room. Build a hospital and put a stockpile in the hospital specifically for medicine. This will allow easy access to medicine for your doctors, and it will likely save a few colonists from bleeding out in the long run. Be sure to deactivate storage for medicine in your other stockpiles as well. Hopefully you made it this far. I'm going to list off some very important base building tips for mid-game. These tips will hopefully make you have a longer lasting colony, but sometimes RimWorld has different plans for you and they end up dying. Okay, well, anyway. So for your wall, you're going to want to build a kill zone around that opening in your wall. If you do not know how to build a kill zone, just look at the one that's currently on the screen. It's basically a maze filled with traps. Your next task is to improve your colonists' bedrooms. Build an end table, a dresser, and a plant pot in them. If you built into a mountain, then task smoothing on all the walls and floors. If you build a base on like the regular surface, then task stone tiling for flooring. Try to avoid wooden flooring because it gets dirty very fast. You're going to want to build a large dining room as well that is nice and spacious. Make it something like 7x7 or 8x8. Build tables and chairs, and also make sure you put art up in there as well. The reason for this is because all colonists get a huge mood boost if there's a nice dining room. They also get mood boosts for a nice rec room. So create a nice rec room filled with games, and yeah, the next one up on this is probably the biggest one that your colony is going to need, and that's electricity. Go ahead and build a smaller room to store your batteries in, basically going to be your power room. Then you're going to want to build some wind turbines outside your base, and be sure to place any solar panels that you want to build. Make sure you place them like inside of the wind turbines like clear zone. This is because it keeps everything compact and your windmill is unaffected by the solar panels, and it also blocks the trees from blocking the windmills as well in the future. Now is also a good time to start growing different types of plants, so go ahead and grow strawberries and corn. This will give your colonists some food variety. You can also grow some cotton. This will be a very, very reliable source of cloth that can be used for many things, including, well, obviously clothes, which is ironically what we're just about to talk about. The final thing is setting up clothing production. Build an electric tailoring bench. Begin production of t-shirts and pants. This will hopefully completely stop tattered apparel debuff from ever appearing from your colonists. Anyway, that's it for this video. I left out research on purpose because it's a whole other place on its own, and it's completely up to you about how you go about your research, because it's basically based on how well your colony's doing in certain regards. So you're going to want to research something that benefits your colony at the time, so I can't really help you out with that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like and subscribe to see more. Follow me on Twitch, and also come join my Discord channel. Links are in the description, and I'll see you in the next video.